Good evening and happy Thanksgiving. I guess by now most everybody's had their turkey
I would hope so.
and their pumpkin pie or whatever else it is that you have. Uh, we're actually not here. We've recorded this to air on Thanksgiving, but hey, we are lucky enough to have one of our newly elected council members with us. We want to welcome Mike Mower. Congratulations.
Glad to be here.
And
You haven't told the people what this is. Welcome to Ridgecrest Talk.
oh
Thursday
yeah, it is
evening
Ridgecrest
edition,
Talk.
where we're hard on the issues, soft on the people.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, most of the time.
Yeah.
You talk to some people, and well, anyway. But so the elections here locally, we have a total of 3 new members on the council:
That's correct.
the mayor, yourself, and Mr. Thomas.
Yes.
And Robert and I both missed this. We thought it wasn't until sometime in the 80s before this happened, but it was actually the last election that we had 3 people elected.
Yes, we had Mayor Clark, Jim Sanders, and Lori Acton.
Yeah.
So,
But I think, was Mr. Clark already on as a council?
no, he had been on,
And gone.
but he had like a 4-year hiatus.
Something 2 or 4 year.
I think it was 4 years.
So we've got 3 new council members. We're just wondering, what were your thoughts on the campaign and the election results, and what do you think the voters might have been saying in electing 3 new people?
Well, I think the voters wanted a change. They voted a few years ago to have term limits, and the city attorney, based on some court decisions in California, ruled that the incumbents could run again, and they did. And we got 3 new people. Now, some people have said that, well, we got 3 new people, and the other 2 have only been on for 2 years, so we're losing all our corporate knowledge on the council. When I was originally elected in '84, that was right after we had a recall. And we actually had 4 new members of the city council at that time.
Wow.
The only remaining council member was Anna Marie Bergens, who, because she had the experience and none of us did, she became the mayor. And we got on board pretty fast, and things ran smoothly. So I'm not too concerned about the fact that there's 3 of us brand new on the council. I mean, that happens.
You're going to reach out to those incumbents, though, to try to get more up to speed?
We will try to
and
save some of that.
names and phone numbers and that type of thing of contacts to
We'll
reach out to?
we'll try to get the corporate knowledge intact so that we can
Right.
step right into those shoes and keep going. It's important that we keep in contact with Sacramento. It's important that we have contacts with the League of California Cities and things like that. So
That's one aspect, I guess, with Mr. Holloway not getting reelected, because he was on the board of the League of California Cities, wasn't he?
I know he's very involved in the League of
Yeah.
California Cities, and I think one of them was very involved. Maybe it was Steve Morgan, was very involved with KernCog.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And so
That was Steve, yes.
So I've worked with KernCog before. I've been, to League of California Cities before.
Okay.
I know
Well,
Peggy Breeden plans on being very active, and so does Eddie Thomas.
So what did you think of the campaign overall? Were you happy with getting your message out there? And
Well, as things turned out, I ran a very quiet campaign. I chose to spend less than $1,000 of my own money because I didn't want to have to get involved in all the reporting requirements.
Right.
If you spend over $1,000, or you collect money from others, so I collected no money from anybody. I just spent my own money. I spent about between $800 and $900 is all I spent on the campaign, and then it turned out I missed a couple. Well, I missed
Our forum, yeah.
Missed your forum because I was up in Denver for a True Value convention. Couldn't get them to postpone it, and I missed the Republican Women's Forum because my last aunt passed away, and I kind of thought it was important to go to the funeral.
yeah.
But my son represented me, and I've been told that he represented me very well. So I appreciate the support my family has given me. I think the campaign overall was a pretty clean campaign. I didn't hear any mudslinging.
We didn't hear it when
No,
we did the
we certainly
candidate
did
forums.
not. No, we thought the same thing. It's overall a very positive campaign from everybody. Yeah.
And I've heard nothing but good around town about Eddie Thomas. I personally didn't know him before the election. We've spent a few minutes talking since then. Of course, I've known Peggy Breeden for several years.
Sure.
And she's been involved in many things. So I think that the city as a whole will be happy with the outcome of the election.
Well, there's always a period of time with newly elected officials. You have a little bit of a leg up, and actually Peggy does too, with having had to work under the Brown Act. And actually so has Mr. Thomas, because he was on the Planning Commission.
Well, and not only that, he did Measure
not
L.
Planning Commission, but the Measure L Committee.
Yes.
So,
and speaking of that, one of the things that we have been on this show very interested in is getting more interchange between the council and those people who talk at public comment. And I don't know what position the council excuse me, had back when you were originally on, but I'm hoping that what we've had in the past, and to exaggerate, to make the point, many times you would have people from the public come up and speak, and you would get literally no response from the council. They would, as I call it, sit there like 5 bumps on a log. We've talked with City Attorney Keith Lemieux, we've talked with Peggy, and now of course we're talking with you. And I'm hoping that that kind of thing will never occur again during your period of time on the council.
As you know, we cannot vote on anything that's not on the agenda.
Correct.
But when someone gets up and asks a question, if we have the answer, I think that should be given to them. I talked to, hope he doesn't mind me mentioning his name, Jim Sanders, about that very thing, and he kind of said, well, I kind of look towards the mayor and the city manager to respond to those things. And I think those are the appropriate ones to respond. But if they don't respond, then I plan on either responding or asking them to respond.
Excellent.
Some of the questions that have come up, especially there's been a lot of talk about Ridgecrest Boulevard. Everywhere I went in the last 3 weeks before the election, that's all I heard about from people around town. And there's some good things on Ridgecrest Boulevard, and some things that may need to be tweaked.
well, we're going to get into that after we come back. We unfortunately need to take a break here.
Well, you're cutting us a little soon.
Just a little. Just a little.
Just a little. What? You want to overcompensate for the last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be right back. Come back and join us for more Ridgecrest Talk Thursday evening edition.
You know I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about that bass, no trouble. I'm all about.
Welcome back. We're continuing here on Thursday night with Ridgecrest Talk. Our guest tonight, our council member-elect, Mr. Mike Mower. And before we went to break, we were just getting into a discussion on the brand new road, Ridgecrest Boulevard, with all the beautiful trees and what are those curby things?
Bulb outs.
Bulb outs.
Yes.
I call them hazards, but anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that some of them seem to be not in the right place. Some of them seem to be objectionably placed. And I brought with me, you know what this is?
Is that one of those bumps you have in the middle of
That's a Bot's dot. Yeah, exactly. And my point of that is, if you've driven Ridgecrest Boulevard at night, they did put reflectors out on the edge of the bulb outs.
On the top of the curb.
At the top. But you really can't see them very well. And my suggestion is take a few of these and put them along the side of the bulb outs.
or paint them yellow or some color that will really
But
show.
even yellow at night.
The problem is at night, because every one of those have tire marks on them already. Some of them are severe chatter tire marks, where someone is, really not just bumped into it, but
Hit it hard.
lambasted.
Hit it
Yeah,
hard.
hit hard. Yeah, and I'm just wondering how many claims against the city it's going to take before those get taken out.
Well, I'm not sure we'll ever end up taking them all out. I'm concerned about a few things. I want to see how those crosswalks work because I'm a little concerned about those things being in the middle of the street. I think people, now that the lines are in and it's more, the street's more delineated than it was,
Yes.
I think we'll see less people hitting the bulb outs. But we've got a parade going down there in a couple weeks, and that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm very concerned about the west end down at Norma Street, where the curb has been put in the middle of the street in front of the drive-through dairy and Todd's Mountaineering, and actually the parking lot of Ashley's Furniture on the north side.
Yes, that's
We
right.
heard
That's correct.
from the city in an article that the paper did a while back that because they're going to be putting in a traffic signal at that intersection of Ridgecrest Boulevard and Norma, they were required to put that median in there. But we did some checking. The other three don't have medians.
Yeah, I don't.
And all of them have left-hand turns, just like going into the dairy and Todd's. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I need to investigate that further, but I know it's had a major impact on the drive-through dairies
It sure
business, and I don't know if it's. I haven't talked to Maury Todd to see how much of an impact it's had on him, but all of a sudden, you know, you've only got one access into him and into the drive-through, and that's if you're heading east on Ridgecrest Boulevard. So people are flipping U-turns in the intersection right now, which that may or may not be allowed when the light goes in, and people are flipping U-turns. They're going out of the drive-through dairy heading east, and they're flipping a U-turn when they get to the end of the curb, and it's illegal to make a U-turn in a commercial district.
Yes, it is.
So I know one individual told me they'd gotten pulled over. The officer did not give her a ticket, but she got a warning. So that's something I'm gonna have to look into. I'm not aware of any rule that says you have to have that curb, like you say. There's three other streets, you know, coming into that intersection.
you expect the city to defend themselves for what they've done there, and that I understand that.
Now I might remark though, you know, the bulb outs were approved by the city council. That curb was not.
Yeah.
That curb
Oh.
that curb was added later. It was not on the original plans.
The median curb.
The median curb in the center there, going up
Well,
to
I
Norma
certainly
Street.
know that whoever the owner, I don't remember his name, of the drive-through dairy and Mr. Todd, they certainly were surprised to see it go in because they had specifically asked about.
and been assured it would not happen.
Correct.
Now, if you want to take the requirement for the curb down to my business, they're also going to be putting a light in the intersection of Ridgecrest Boulevard and Downs.
Yes.
Okay.
So if that curb was required, then they'd have to be down there. But we've got lots of lights around town that don't have curbs.
Right. Right.
Yeah. You don't have those median curbs.
Median curbs.
Getting back to those crosswalks for the handicap.
Oh, the Z.
Yeah. We
handicap.
can't understand why they put the zigzag in there.
The theory behind that, as it was explained in a council meeting, I think not the last one, but the one before, is when you go across, say you're heading north, and so you're
Okay.
on the south side of Ridgecrest Boulevard, you head north, you look, make sure there's no traffic coming from the west, and you go into the center. Now you have to make a right turn. Now you're facing oncoming traffic coming from the west, from the east heading west.
Okay.
So you can see that traffic, so then when you make your turn to go across the street, you've already looked and seen that there's no traffic coming. Now that's the theory behind it.
All
and-
right.
and,
At
I
least
know
there's a decent reason.
there's a reason for it, and I also know that Dart went down there and ran a wheelchair through there, and the wheelchairs do fit through there. Now,
Okay.
someone said the other day, what about the wheelchairs for the real heavy people? They're like 4 feet wide. I don't think they'll fit. And I'm not sure if we've got a lot of people, more and more people in this town that are riding the electric
motorized
chairs.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if Dart tried to take one of those through or not.
Yeah, I've been told, didn't have time to research it, but I've been told that the wheelchair requirement went to 5 feet. So there's a number of places that if that's the requirement, 5 feet, it's not going to work. And they just put in a whole bunch of trees on the south side of Ridgecrest Boulevard between Dart and the drive-through dairy, or actually Dart and the trailer park there. And Wow, right now, you know, you only got 1.5 feet of concrete, but I did see one at the corner in front of Bank of America, and they put pavers in that area where they've got a big hole right now.
Yeah, they're supposed to fill those holes up with grates or something so that wheelchairs can get through there.
Okay,
And they're not done yet, so
right.
you know,
It's hard to know.
It's hard to know.
However, as long as they do grates, yeah, tire drops in a grate. It better be cross graded. But anyway, yes. Okay, because I thought that the Z was not very appropriate, but I see the point now, and that is a good point. It forces people to whichever way they're going to face the traffic.
right.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
we're going
the
to go
theory.
to another break, and when we come back, we want to hear what your hopes and desires might be for your term on the city council.
Okay.
All
thank
right?
you.
Join us when we come back here on Ridgecrest Talk. See ya. Go get some pot.
Weight on my shoulder, head in the clouds.
Even though I hate you, I wanna love you.
And welcome back to our last segment of the Thursday evening edition of Ridgecrest Talk. We're pleased to have with us Councilman-elect Mike Mower, and we've been talking about a number of things. And I think that we wanted to ask you during this last segment, what do you hope to accomplish in your 4 years, or do you have any particular thing that you'd like to head the council towards?
Well, yes, I do. Number one, there's been a lot of things that have gone over the past few years that people have been concerned about, and part of that is not the council's fault. For example, the replacement of the Parks and Rec director. The way our form of government is now set up in the city is the city manager hires all the department heads, and the city council only hires the city manager.
Right.
So when that happened, the council really didn't have any control over that, but they got a black eye over that. I want to have a totally transparent term on the council. Anybody, my business cards they're making up for the city council will have my cell phone number on it, so people will easily be able to get hold of me. If I don't answer that, I won't answer my cell phone if I'm waiting on a customer at the store, but I always return my calls. And I know there's been some flack between the Measure L committee and the city council.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that smooths out. And if you look back in history, when I was on the council back in 84 to 92, of course, things have changed. The state started taking a lot more of the city's money than it was then, but we had a balanced budget and surplus every year that I was on the council, except for one, and that was because we had a couple projects carry over from the previous year, but we had the money in the bank for it. So I would like to, when I get off the council in 4 years, have left the city in a better financial position than it is right now. We had a report in the paper a couple weeks ago, it was a Saturday morning edition, I think, that talked about how we were the 10th most likely city to go bankrupt.
Yes.
I just want the public to know that was based on 2-year-old data, and things have improved significantly since that data was out. So the city's in the right direction financially. We just need to keep steering it on that path and make sure that I would like to see every year's budget balanced based on current income and not on any one-time, money that comes in or something like that. I would like to see us be able to set the budget based on what we know our income's going to be.
Okay.
And if I can accomplish all those things, I'll be.
Excuse me. What do you think, and we brought this up, I don't know if we did it during the forum or not, about having well, we call it a secret vote, but you've seen when Congress votes, and even if you've been to the state or county level, they have a button that they can push that casts their vote, so that none of the other members can really see how an individual is voting. Would you be in favor
And
of
then we need to make sure that it's clear. And then after everyone has voted, their votes are revealed. The purpose of that being so that how you vote can't influence Councilman Sanders, how Councilman Acton or Councilwoman Acton votes can't influence how Mayor Breeden votes, etc. So none of you know how the other member votes until all the voting is over.
I'm not sure I'd agree with that. First of all, when you're voting on something, you've had a motion and a second, so you know how two people feel about it. I don't know the advantage of keeping something secret until after the vote's cast. But
Well, I'll give you a couple examples.
Okay.
If you're the fourth person to vote, and the three before you have voted yay, then you've got a free nay vote
that's true.
that you could use to campaign on, or obviously you wouldn't do that. But the point is that it's your vote would not necessarily be influenced, but you could have what I would call a free vote.
So if the council is voting in favor of something that maybe is not popular with the public, you
Right.
could be the dissenting vote
Yes,
to stay in favor with the public. And
Right.
right. And
Or
but that
if the
isn't
vote, if you're the last one to vote and there's 4 votes and it's split 2-2,
you're the deciding
You're the
vote.
deciding
yeah.
vote.
So now
And
you.
some council person, not saying you, might have, ooh, this is my opportunity to get, my back rubbed or scratched here. I got this project I want. These two, if I go along with them, they'll help me.
Now, you and I agree that isn't the way it should be. But I was on the school board, and I can tell you that was when there was 7. Although it never really influenced me, it was hugely tempting when you had what I called a free vote.
I guess I'm not devious enough to think about things like that. I'm amazed when we find a criminal has done something, that how devious they can be.
Oh, sure.
And I've never thought of it that way. I vote my conscience, and I'm either going to vote yay or nay, depending on how I think it should be.
But if you're the public looking out on the other side, looking at what's going on, at least that way you know there's no influencing going on.
That's true. Interesting concept. I hadn't ever heard of it before.
Well, think about it. We're
Yeah.
going to stay hot on that over
Yeah.
this next coming month. So
That
Okay.
and just as you said, the council, there's no reason that the council cannot respond to someone with
Right.
makes a public comment, and you've told us that no matter what, you're going to make sure that that person gets addressed.
Well, a good example of that is some of the questions came out, what's going in those bubbles before they were put in there.
right.
Uh-huh.
Well, I happen to have one of the contractors came into my store and bought 2 pallets of cement, and I took him down to the corporate yard. He wanted them delivered at the corporate yard, so I loaded him on my forklift, took him down to the corporate yard, and I look over and here's a bunch of trees and a bunch of shrubs. So I knew before they went on the street what was going in there, and they were sitting there. So certainly city employees should have known what was going in because they were already purchased.
Mhm.
And just to respond, well, we've got some trees and we've got some bushes, and the trees are going on the sidewalk, the bushes are going in the bulb outs.
And,
Would have been a real simple response, and it would have answered the question.
right, and it makes the public feel like the council cares.
Yeah.
And it's not that the council in the past hasn't cared, it's that they haven't conveyed that very well.
Yeah, I want to.
We've got to go. But we want to ask you to come back, okay?
Okay, can I make one last comment?
Sure, real
Yes.
quick.
I just want to
Sir,
say that
we got-
I don't doubt that any member of the current council does not want the best interest of the city.
Agreed.
Okay.
We all agree with that.
Okay.
All right.
We never thought anything else. But
Right. Join us next week when we're going to have the other council-elect member, Mr. Thomas, with us.
Mr. Eddie Thomas,
Mr.
yes.
Eddie Thomas.
And
And should be just as much fun.
it should be very enjoyable. And again, we thank you, Mr. Meyer, for coming in.
You're
Thanks a lot.
Thank
We
you for having
appreciate
me.
it.
And we'll see y'all next week.
Have a good Thanksgiving evening.